back to these ex-couples. Please welcome therapist Dr. Jennifer Duffy, everybody. Nice to see you. Welcome back. Glad you're here. Dondre needs some help.
Well, I think what's interesting is Dondre wants her back and wants her to be him to forgive her for cheating, and yet lying and infidelity is really not the good basis for a relationship. And now you have 2 children involved, and what's going to happen now, the 2 of you may need to work on getting along so you can raise your children rather than trying to work out your past problems.
Oh, so you're going to tell me all of this in hours of time, you know what I'm saying? You've been backstage, so you just know me from an hour. You know what I'm saying?
You're saying he's been cheating.
You know me, you know me for what? 1 hour?
She read your pre-interview like I do, Dondre.
But I know infidelity is not a good basis for a relationship. Dishonesty is not a good basis for a long-term relationship.
So you ain't never told a lie in your life, therapist?
Well, there's a difference between a white lie and cheating on somebody. And your whole relationship.
A lie is a lie.
Dondre, we may have only known you for an hour, but you are a dog! Just because you pour syrup on something don't make it pancakes, you know what I'm saying?
Well, but I think, Ricky...
So you can't...
I didn't hear you say that, Jennifer.
You can't sugarcoat a lie.
But I think that there are some people that even God could make faithful, and maybe they don't belong in a committed relationship.
I agree. Okay, moving right along to something maybe more serious. We have Michelle and her daughter. I feel so badly for her daughter who is not here today.
Well, I think it's a very unfortunate situation, and Michelle seems to have experienced a lot of pain from the rejection, and I think, too, part of the problem is having moved away and radically changed your life, which caused more stress on you and also took you away from your coping system. But I think even wearing the locket, if you really feel that you've moved on, that you're not obsessing about him, that you are going to work and you only think about him occasionally, many people never really get over a loss, and we know that by keeping a picture of a loved one. And really what she's going through is just like losing a loved one to death, except there's the added...
If it's an unconditional love, it's always going to be there.
But if you can move on with your life...
Right. But can she move on with his picture around her neck?
Well, but Ricky, many people keep pictures of loved ones around their home. What's important is whether or not she's thinking about them all the time. And I think what's important here is to take responsibility for your relationship with your daughter rather than looking to Ron to do that, to try and fix it herself.
Okay. Around the home is different than around the neck.
Well, if she's looking at it all day long and she can't get into other relationships and go to work, if it's just maybe a reminder of maybe a pleasant memory, and yet she feels she can move on, this is the last thing she needs to hang on to.
Okay, all right. Hang tight. We got more from Jennifer Duffy.
And also, we are now going to be talking about biofeedback. This is Dr. Jennifer Duffy, who is in private practice in Long Beach. Yes. And you hooked me up to a biofeedback machine. It's very space-age looking. What's happening here?
Basically, what this is a galvanic skin response machine. And what it does is it measures skin conductivity in your body. And what happens is the more stressed you are, the more you sweat, the higher this monitor is going to go up. Now, right now, you can see it's gone up quite a bit since we started rolling, so maybe you're getting a little bit stressed. And what I would do is work with you to help you learn how to lower this number, because this is an indication when you are aroused and maybe you're under a little bit of pressure.
Now, what you're trying to do is teach people how to calm themselves outside your office.
Absolutely.
When things get rough for them, right?
Exactly. This is a good way to make you more sensitive to what's going on inside of your body. A lot of people don't know when they are stressed. So this is a good way. This is like training wheels. This is something you would use initially to learn to be more sensitive to what's going on inside your body. Over time, you wouldn't need this.
Okay, so now you're going to recommend to me that I think about certain
something
things.
Calming, something relaxing, maybe a pleasant vacation spot that you've been to, one of your favorite places.
So we'll revisit this in about a half an hour.
And we'll look and see if we can get you to relax a little bit.
Okay, Dr. Jennifer Duffy, thank you very much. Yes. We'll be checking in with you a couple of times during the next couple of hours. Back to you, Jim.
All right, Donna, thank you.
The oldest suspect in last week's Arkansas school shooting is accused of sexually molesting a toddler.
If these allegations are true, certainly we know it is true that he was about to go on trial for molesting his stepsister. What does that tell you?
Well, I don't think that any child springs from the womb a bad seed. It's always a combination of not only genetics, but certainly environment. And I think there is a lot here that we don't know about this child's upbringing and what he experiences. Typically not one thing. It's typically a combination of things. And in general, in situations like this with children who kill other children, usually you will see someone who's very fragile emotionally, who was filled with lots of rage, which typically comes from being battered and abused sexually and physically, emotionally themselves as a child. And you look at the fact that he's being accused of sexually abusing his half-sister, and that is very deviant and sexually inappropriate behavior, and we don't see that in an adolescent unless typically it's been done to them when they were children. I think what's really so disturbing about these killings is that it upsets the natural order of life, that parents are supposed to die first, and when parents die, you lose your past, but when a child dies, you lose your future.
In a minute, we'll talk to the attorney for the former Seattle school teacher who's pregnant for the second time by her former student. Also with us is Dr. Jennifer Duffy, clinical psychologist. There are guys who are right at this moment writing letters to Penthouse about how when they were 14, the 36-year-old next-door neighbor gave them sex, and it was the greatest thing that ever happened to them. Are boys less traumatized by this than girls?
Well, boys at that age are certainly much more interested in sex. Females tend to get into relationships and develop more of an emotional attachment. So for a young boy, this plays into every man's fantasy that they might have had. So I think men in general are more tolerant of this type of behavior.
But is this guy going to wind up on a couch 10 years from now?
You know, he may or he may not. It's hard to say. I mean, obviously, they've formed a very tight bond and connection that he's still waiting for her. He is caught up in this fantasy, this obsession with her, that it has had a very deep and profound effect on him. So I think he is going to have some long-term effects, not to mention the children that they're going to have to raise and say, why is Dad 14 years older than me?
She's lost her teaching certificate, mothers. You're okay, and she's only focused on this one guy.
I don't think loss of her teaching certificate is enough. She's committed a crime. She's raped a young boy. He is not capable of making a decision as to whether or not he wants to have sex with an older woman. Of course he's going to want to have sex with her. It's up to her and incumbent upon her as an adult and a teacher not to violate and take advantage of that kind of power over a young child.
Would you say that the marriage was just humming along and this happened, or was there some void in the marriage for this to happen?
I think that she has some obvious psychological problems, and there must have been some sort of difficulties going on in the marriage. Again, does not excuse her behavior, and I think what's interesting, too, is that the defense is really kind of playing both sides of the fence. On the one hand, they're saying Mary Kay is mentally ill, she's manic depressive, she was on Depakote, she was fine, she could understand what she had done wrong. And
Depakote is what?
Is an is for manic depression.
Okay.
And help balance her out and take away the delusions, which supposedly is what led to her belief that she and this boy were meant to be and they had this fantastic love affair. However, now they're saying in 7 years when she gets out, this boy, they should have a right to be together. Why would he want to be with someone, and why should she be having one child after another if she's a seriously mentally ill woman?
Is this about sex, Doc, or is this about power?
Well, I think for her, it's more about power. She has
isn't sex power for all women?
I mean, yes, and certainly she's the teacher here, so she's in control. But she's having some very dysfunctional needs met. She needs to be needed. I'm sure there's a certain amount of nurturing going on, which typically does happen in older, younger relationships, just based on the way that people look. That's going to elicit certain needs. And she is going to be in a position of power, one, because she's older and the amount of experience that she has that goes along with age, as well as the fact that she was a teacher, so she's in a position of authority.
And reiterate that all the charges against me are false and will be proven false in a court of law.
Let's get a psychologist's view of that. Jennifer Duffy.
But I think, Cindy, that's a very interesting point, that what drives somebody to become involved in sadomasochistic sex. And it's a sadist.
Is that what this was?
Well, it sounds like there were some components of that. I think the biting was purely an aggressive act, but with a sadomasochistic relationship, he was taking the role of the aggressor. He was very dominant. From what Cindy says, in his public life, he might have been very meek, not very social. So this was one domain in which he could take control. He found partners who were willing to be submissive, to be punished, and maybe he felt that it was consensual sex to a point. However, sometimes what happens in these relationships, there might be a partner who's willing to go along, but at some point, for whatever reason, they may decide, I no longer want to do this. They may express their concerns to the person, and they may ignore them.
So they themselves put the brakes on to a relationship that had been working before.
They might, for whatever reason, may decide that I don't really want to be engaged in this. This is getting too much for me. It's going too far. However, because of a fear of rejection, a fear of what their partner is going to do, maybe have nothing to do with them, no longer want to be with them, may be reluctant to express that and continue to engage in that type of sex, even if they really don't want to. And at that point, it's really no longer consensual.
I want Jennifer to talk to the rest of our guests Stephen, how does he move on? How do they...
I think they got to stop focusing on trying to control the other person, because you don't have any control over anybody else. I think what they need to do is focus on themselves and just try and move on. Try not to get the other person to stop talking badly about you. But in the last instance, listening to the way that they're arguing, there's so much anger, and they're never going to resolve their issues, their problems that they had together as a couple. That's why they're no longer living together. But what they need to do is try and figure out how to get along somewhat.
They have to come together for the sake of the children. We are back, and it's time to welcome our friend, Dr. Jennifer Duffy, to the show. Nice to see you, Dr. Duffy. Thank goodness you're here. A lot of bad stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say to the ladies, you got to learn to trust your instincts. If it looks like a dog, it smells like a dog, it's a dog,
You know what? What's wrong is,
Jason.
what's wrong is look at her finger, all them damn diamonds. Somebody saved her. That's why she acting
Jason,
like
you know
this.
what?
Somebody saved her. Somebody swooped down, carried her ass to safety.
No, but she didn't need anybody to save her. She saved herself, Jason.
You'll be saving no one, because no one will want to be saved by you after today.
Now you're upset. Look, I'm pimping your emotions. I'm pimping her emotions. I feel you. No.
Jason.
If I want to be with her and she want to be with me, what's wrong with her? Okay,
she doesn't want to be with you anymore, though, Jason.
I think Jason needs to take a good, hard look in the mirror, call his travel agent, and book the next flight out to reality. He's living in fantasy land.
But you know what? If your name was Maybelle Tanner or not Ricky Lake, right, and she wasn't a doctor on a show that's about all of this, she'd be with me too if I could push
In my profession, what Jason is talking about is a delusion, because I would never be interested in him. And I think today it's interesting, has nothing to do with color. It has to do with the way that you treat women. And what's interesting is that they've done these women a real favor. They brought them on here. I think they feel that they've been playing them, making fools out of them. But who's the fool now? They've just broadcast to all the women in the town that they live the kind of men they are and how they're going to treat them.
Joining us now to give us advice to these families is family therapist Dr. Jennifer Duffy. Nice to see you again, Jennifer. So what can you say to our families? I mean, it seems to me Levita and Levette are not going to let up. They want Mom.
Well, I think what's important to understand is behind all this fighting is a genuine concern for one another. Everybody really wants to see their family members happy. And however, with Levette and Levita, they keep telling Jeanette over and over again. However, Jeanette is staying in the relationship for a reason, and a lot of times people do stay in relationships for reasons that we don't always understand. She may be afraid to be lonely. She want the companionship, financial support. So this is a decision.
Well, that it is.
In this situation, that doesn't apply. But she's going to, you guys have expressed your concerns to her many times, I'm sure, and she's already indicating to you by her behavior that I'm not changing, and we all have our limits, and when Jeanette reaches her limits, she'll know, and Curtis will be out.
She might be dead and gone when she reaches her.
Well, but that's a decision she has to...
She's sickly at times.
But what I would suggest in this situation is that they're all relating and connecting to one another in a very negative way. That he is the focus of their interactions all the time. They should set aside an hour a month to get together and trash Curtis, and then try not to focus on him the rest of the month.
We do that almost every day.
I know, but that's my point. That's all that is getting talked about.
That's a good suggestion.
How can you get your mom to butt out of your love life if she's interfering where she doesn't belong? Well, I'd like you to meet Jennifer Duffy. She's a family therapist who's going to help us answer that question. What do you think a daughter should do? Because we have varying degrees in both cases here.
Well, I think really what we're talking about here is when does parenting end? And society regards all these children here as adults at this point. And so now the parents no longer have control over their children. They only have influence. However, the only way to have influence is to have a good relationship with your child. And they need to learn to make their own decisions, and the parents need to allow them to make their own decisions so they can become their own person.
But let me ask you this in Shauna's case. Is there anything her mother can do or should do?
People don't stay in an abusive relationship because they want to be beaten up. There's other reasons that she's staying.
We're back with Dr. Jennifer Duffy. Thank God you're here, Jennifer. If you could talk about our first family, these 5 kids, minus one who's back home. What can you say to them and Francis?
What I'd like to say to these children and to any children this has happened to is that although you've been affected by what's happened in your life. This is not a reflection of what is wrong with you. It's a reflection of what is wrong with the parents. And out of bad can come good, and I hear a lot of good things going on. You guys are saying, look, it's made me stronger. I'm not going to ever do this to my child. I'm going to be a better parent, or I'm going to have a good relationship with my siblings. So there might be some positives that can come out of this, as painful as it has been. People have many different emotions for why they do something. I think the parents do love their children, but I think that there are other needs and other problems that are getting in the way. But that still isn't acceptable to these children because they're having a hard time getting beyond that and accepting that their parents have these limitations.
Should age matter when it comes to love and romance? That is the question we are dying to know the answer to. And joining us today is our good friend here and relationship expert, Jennifer Duffy. Nice to see you, Jennifer. Glad you're back. So we've been balancing this around. Is it okay to date a much older woman or older man?
Well, it depends on how the relationship is handled. And in any relationship, there's always going to be problems. But when there's an older man, older woman, or vice versa, there's a whole new set of issues that have to be addressed. One of them is there's a more likelihood that there's going to be power struggles are going to be pronounced because of the age difference as well as the experience that goes along with age. There's a certain amount of nurturing that's more likely to go on just based on how they look, but also self-esteem issues, too, that aren't necessarily as noticeable in a relationship where people are similar in age. Is he still going to want me? Is he going to want somebody younger as they age? There's fertility issues. Is she going to be able to, or is he going to be able to raise a child before her biological clock runs out, emotionally, psychologically, financially?
Not to mention the extended families that have a problem with the age difference.
He walks into a ready-made family, and that's a lot of the problems here because in these blended families, the men are being placed in a position of authority over somebody who's only a couple of years older. And when you blend a family, there's a lot of mixed emotions about that. And then when you place the man in the role of being the bad guy and relying on him to set all the rules, the adolescent is going to resent it. The mother needs to take control of the situation herself and not look to this man to step in and fix all the problems or all the parenting issues.
Generalizing, but do the majority of these relationships last?
Well, I mean, in many instances, with the younger man, they're attracted to the woman because they're flattered, they're primarily interested in sex at that age, and they're experimenting and trying to figure out what relationships are all about. Those are not necessarily a good foundation for a relationship that lasts 50 years. There needs to be other elements involved.
And what about the double standard? I mean, it seems to be more acceptable for the older man to be dating the younger woman. At least that's what society is used to.
That's true. And really what you're talking about is norms. And norms dictate how people react and what roles we should play. And there really aren't any norms for this type of relationship. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that there's going to be a certain amount of rejection and intolerance that goes along with being in that kind of a relationship. The problem is when it happens to her, when she's walking down the street and she's confronted with that rejection or that intolerance, that confusion. And teenagers are typically embarrassed by their parents.
So how is Julie and Natalie, how are they supposed to handle their children who are still minors and living under their roofs?
I think they need to listen to what their children are saying. Doesn't mean that they should end the relationship, but maybe they should keep the foreplay in the bedroom and not on the street in front of their friends where they're going to be more embarrassed.
Dr. Duffy, don't youngsters have enough problems?
Well, I mean, certainly development is time-dependent, not situation-dependent.
What does that mean?
Well, what I mean is that these adolescents are getting involved in situations that maybe developmentally they're not ready to handle.
Oh, that's
Their personality has not
How could a
fully
13-year-old
developed.
handle pregnancy?
Well, now she's pregnant, and now they have a situation that they have to face. Their society expects them to take care of this child, whether they're ready to or not. And there's also a second child. They're having, obviously, unprotected sex because there's 2 pregnancies here. And just because physiologically you're able to have a baby doesn't mean you're ready to raise one.
Amen.
I just wanted to say to Margaret, I think you should be applauded in the way that you've handled tequila, because it seems like you've become more realistic in raising her, that you realize you can't control her, you can only have influence. The only way to have influence over your adolescent is to have a good relationship. You can't impose your values. You don't get your first choice is that you don't want her to have sex, but then your second choice is at least that she's protected from disease and from pregnancy. And you know, she's a good example of that today.
Thank you so much.
Generation X has some of its own celebrity obsessions. Jenny McCarthy, Hitler's Hella Locklear. Jenny McCarthy from MTV now has her own series. That's Courtney Love. The cast of Friends, the entire cast of Friends. And the cast of the X-Files. X-Files for Generation X. We also have a comeback kid obsession, a once and and present and future obsession, John Travolta, is back big time. Jennifer Duffy is a clinical therapist here to tell us, actually, I want to ask you, Jennifer Duffy, about the young lady who sits alongside you, Jody, the tattoo, the Madonna tattoo, spending all her money on Madonna memorabilia and, you know.
She's very attached to Madonna. She's identified with her and taken on many of the characteristics of her, maybe as she was growing up, was a little unsure who she was and idolized Madonna. And many people do idolize stars because they have characteristics that we all wish we had, or at least we think they do. And so they become part of our family. We become attached to them. It can become dangerous when you are so obsessed with that person that you no longer are going to school or having a job or able to maintain a normal life, where you forget who you are, where Madonna ends and you begin.
What if Jody became a stalker?
That would be very serious, and that's what happens with stalkers is they don't know where the boundaries are. They think about them 24 hours a day, as opposed to somebody who likes to watch Brad Pitt in a movie. When the movie's over, they stop thinking about him and they go on about their dates and escape from reality temporarily.
Jody, how do you get the money to buy all that stuff?
I work 2 full-time jobs.
And how much of your spare income do you spend on Madonna stuff?
How much spare?
How much?
All the spare.
Everything, every penny you get, right?
Of the spare, yeah. I mean, I pay my bills first, and
it can be a little bit damaging because you can see her whole life revolves around Madonna. There's no other aspect to it.
Not yet.
What do you want to say? What do you want to say to her?
If you did, the obsession would be over.
What do you want to say to her?
I don't know. When I met her, I just whatever came to mind. Probably, actually.
Oh well, we love you anyway, Jody. Just don't let it get out of hand.
This is a different type of counseling. I don't think this is a counseling where you can have a session and then goodbye, I'll see you next week. You have to be on 24-hour call for these people because they're going to have nightmares, they're going to be traumatized, and it's quite a job for any therapist, as I'm sure Jennifer would agree.
They're in the midst of a crisis, and they need to talk about where they were, what they saw, how they feel, and process those feelings over time.
You also have Mitchell Johnson's brother, who's still going to school there. I mean, what's going to happen to him?
I didn't realize.
Walk in, and are they going to try and get back at me? Did they think that I'm responsible?
It's just like Paducah, where the sister of the shooter is the valedictorian, or was going to be the valedictorian of this year's graduating class.
The President of the United States, the problems that are going on in Washington, whether or not President Clinton is going to survive, and what is wrong with him. In a moment, Dr. Jennifer Duffy, who's a PhD in psychology, will give us her psychoanalysis, but first, I want to invite back to the program, and welcome back to the program, I should say, Jake Tapper, who is a, what are you doing now, Jake, in Washington? I know that in the previous administration, you were with Marjorie Margolis-Mezvinsky as her press liaison. Now you're doing what in Washington?
I'm a senior writer for Washington City Paper, which is an alternative weekly down here.
Okay. Jake, you went out with Monica Lewinsky.
I did in December, a few weeks before the whole story broke, and I guess about 5 days before she went to the White House to get her Christmas kiss.
If you're at a fraternity and you know this girl the way you do, then you would have less respect for the guy at the fraternity who takes advantage of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty common behavior, the kind of stuff you see I mean, if the Star report is to be believed, the president was acting the kind of way that, you know, the star quarterback in high school uses the, you know, the very eager 14-year-old girl who's maybe a little chubby, maybe has some self-esteem issues, you know, desperately wants to be accepted, desperately wants a boyfriend, and just totally uses her. Except I think the one difference being that the high school quarterback might have a little more class than the president had.
Okay, Dr. Jennifer Duffy. Carry on with that question. Of all the women in the country, of all the women that theoretically the president could get if he was on the prowl, why a 21-year-old intern? Why somebody like the woman that Jake was just describing?
Well, I mean, it certainly sounds that she is somebody that he could easily control, which is what he would want in that kind of a situation. It's a very sensitive issue. And if he's presented with somebody who's constantly pursuing him, it is very flattering. And over time, she might have worn him down. And if you look at Bill Clinton's prior history, he certainly has had a lot of infidelities in his past, that when he has a sexual urge, he doesn't deny himself.
Do you buy the idea that he's a sex addict, or do you think that excuses his behavior?
Well, according to the DSM-4, which is our diagnostic manual, there is no such thing as sex addiction. So I think that that's a convenient excuse. Addiction implies that there's some physiological component that he has no control over.
Okay,
so it's really not his fault.
Pretend it's not Bill Clinton. Pretend it's Bill Smith who's coming to you for counseling, and he's chronically unfaithful. He's chronically chasing women. He's chronically getting himself into situations with women where he's trying to hit on them and they either accept or they don't accept. How do you diagnose that problem? What is that problem?
Well, what I would do is look at why he's using this sex. A lot of times people use sex as an outlet for stress. Having a climax is one of the best ways to relieve stress. It is a very physically enjoyable activity, but there also may be some self-esteem issues that you're trying to fulfill.
Okay.
So I think there's a lot of other interpersonal things going on there besides the physiological addiction that you cannot control.
Does the relationship with their sexual partner have anything to do with whether or not these guys are on the prowl? If they have a good sexual relationship with their partner, with their marriage partner, does that mean they're less likely to be on the prowl, or does it make no difference?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, sometimes it doesn't matter. Some men like variety. They don't want to respect their marital vows. And you really need to look at Bill Clinton's behavior. It really isn't abnormal, and abnormal just means that very few people do it. In fact, in our society, more than 50% of the people will have an affair, an extramarital affair, at some time throughout their marital relationship. So what Bill Clinton is doing is not necessarily abnormal, but it is dysfunctional.
Okay, I've got to take a break. When we come back, the question that every guy in America has been asking since last weekend, and you know what it is, and we'll ask it in a moment. Don't go away. Welcome back, everybody. We're talking about the President of the United States and his woes because of the Starr Report. Okay, the Starr Report indicates that Monica testified to the grand jury that in her sexual relationships with the President of the United States, the act was not completed because of what he said was a trust issue. And then ultimately, as we well know, because of the gap dress and all the rest, in the last two occasions, the act was completed. What guy says stop in the middle?
A weird guy. A very weird guy with strange limits that he sets that make this okay but that not okay, and it's...
Well, I think Jake brings up a good point. I think there's a couple of things going on here. I think that certainly the most obvious reason for not having penetration would be to avoid pregnancy and disease. But I think the second issue, when it came to the oral sex, I think Bill Clinton uses rationalization, which is a common defense mechanism that we all use. And rationalization is a way of giving yourself permission to do something that may go against your value system. So it's a way of saying, this is okay, and then I don't have to feel guilty about it. So in his mind, he's made up this special rule that I can have contact, or she can have contact with me, and as long as I don't ejaculate, that's not really sex, it's not intercourse, it's not cheating, it's not infidelity.
What about the foolishness of leaving recorded messages on an answering machine that can be accessed by anybody, and in one of the most recognizable voices in the world?
Well, I think that certainly exhibits a level of arrogance, but also Bill Clinton's past behavior has indicated to him, I can do this and I won't get caught. So I think he really believed he wasn't going to get caught. If you look at what happened prior to the first election with Jennifer Flowers, this all came out, and what ended up happening? The country forgot about it, forgave him. His wife didn't leave him. He was elected anyway, so it had no impact, no negative impact whatsoever.
So you think that he thinks he's the Teflon president?
He can get it. Well, that's what his past experience has taught him. He's learned that. So it has nothing to do with addiction. It's what he's learned.
Okay, and Jake, why is that? I mean, you live down there. You write about it. You've seen power down there. Why is it that Bill Clinton, not so much Ronald Reagan, but Bill Clinton is the Teflon president? This stuff bounces off him. His numbers are higher now than they were in July.
I don't know.
Okay, let me ask you this. I'm down to a minute. Do you think that we're losing our soul here?
Me personally?
Yeah, Jake.
I don't. I think the country is in not taking these charges as more seriously. It's not the affair. It's the suborning of perjury. It's the perjury itself that indicates, that we're on a wrong path.
Dr. Duffy, for the guy who's out there thinking about a relationship with the woman at work, what does this say? You do it?
Well, I think it sends, to this point, a very negative message. If he worked for any Fortune 500 company, what he's doing constitutes sexual harassment and would not be tolerated. He's abusing his power because he is in a position of authority over her.
Your 3 or 4 word diagnosis of this man is what?
That's a tough thing. I hate to make a diagnosis on somebody, but I think that he is very arrogant. I think he's impulsive, and when he wants to satisfy his needs, he does at the expense of others.
Thank you. Jake Tapper, down in Washington, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Wally.
And also Dr. Jennifer Duffy, thank you again for being with us.
to the people they love. But their confessions are not ones that are easily made or, for that matter, easily heard. In fact, the secrets they are about to reveal could be unpleasant and even distressing. And there is no telling what will happen once their potentially life-altering revelations come out.
Well, for the last 2 months, I've been cheating on him with a good friend of his, and...
Say it isn't so.
It's so.
Day, are you nervous?
I was when I first walked out, but not anymore.
Yeah.
Audience, do you think she should go through with it? Yes or no? You guys have signs. Tell us what you think.
One no.
Yes?
2 no's.
Wait, I gotta hear from you guys. Is honesty the best policy? But don't you think she should have come forward before she was interested in Rick?
No.
Seems like timing would be everything. All right. We have actually an expert, Jennifer Duffy, one of our favorite experts in the audience. Is she doing the right thing here?
I think so, but I think she needs to be honest with herself. I think doing it one time is revenge, but every Sunday night for the last 3 months, that's an ongoing affair. So I think there's a little more going on here.
All right, thank you. Okay, what is it that you're here to confess?
Well, I'm here to confess to my fiancée, Lisa, that when we were broken up for about 2 months, her best friend, who is also a friend of mine, I got with her, and now she's 7 months pregnant.
Lisa has been asked by Sylvia to be the godmother. And she has accepted.
Yes, we both agreed, and I think Sylvia was trying to make the whole situation a lot lighter.
I see.
Figuring that if we're the godparents, we would be in the child's life, you know, indefinitely.
See. All right, audience, you got your signs. Should he go through with this confession, yes or no? Wait a minute, Jennifer, stand on up. I need you to say something here. I'm nervous. I'm really nervous. This is big time.
Yeah, I think he should definitely tell her. I think he should have told her, though, a long time ago. But backing up even further, when it comes to your fiancé or ex-lover's best friend, just say no. Don't even go there. But I mean, this is a pretty ugly situation. She's going to find out now. And even if she chooses to stay with him and forgive him, this child is going to be a constant reminder every day of his infidelity.
Absolutely. And I know the baby is due right around the time that you're supposed to be getting married.
I wanted to have a good job for you. I mean, I have a good job, but I wanted a better job, and I wanted to move to a different state, and that didn't happen.
Jennifer?
Eric, Eric, I hear you saying a lot of, like, insightful things, but yet you slept with her best friend. So you betrayed her, and you've also taken away her best friend. It seems very clear to me that in many ways the only needs that you're concerned about meeting are your own. I mean, do you really expect us?
How do you expect us to get married behind this?
Well, that's why I told you. Would you prefer 2 or 3 of your friends from the neighborhood to tell you this, or for me to tell you?
Eric, why didn't you tell her months ago? Why didn't you tell her months ago before you asked her to marry you?
Because Sylvia didn't tell me until about 3 or 4 months into her pregnancy.
So then why didn't you tell her 3 or 4 months ago?
Because, well, at that point when Sylvia suggested that she was pregnant by me, they were already talking about being godparents and godfathers.
That might have been a good time to maybe talk about who was really the father and not the godfather.
To bring me on national
we can't
TV
turn back the clock,
this.
but Jennifer, would you agree to sit down with them after the show?
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Eric, you bringing up more excuses, more lies, and I'm supposed to buy everything that you come up with? You should have thought about your mother's ring on my finger the night you slept with Sylvia.
Do you love me? Do you still love me? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know.
Wait.
Eric, don't ask me that question right now.
Jennifer, are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Don't ask that question right now.
I think Eric better back off if he knows what's good for him. I mean, she needs some time. I mean, she's going to need some time to work through this, and I think he better give her some space because he's made a real grave error here.
I mean,
have I done anything right, Jennifer? Have I done anything right?
Well, I think I do commend you for wanting to get some counseling and wanting to get some help, but unfortunately at this point, it's like trying to put out a burning building with a fire extinguisher.
You need all the help you can right now.
It's going to take some time.
We'll be right back. Hi, we're back. To give some advice to these families, please welcome Dr. Jennifer Duffy. She's a psychologist who specializes in family therapy. Thank you so much for being here, Jennifer. What advice do you have for our families?
Well, I mean, certainly the parents care very much for their children, and they're instituting these rules in the home because they want the family to function well and the house to run better. Now, with Shawnee and Anthony, they're old enough now, they're adults. If they don't like the rules, they can move out if this is not a good situation for them. And everybody looks forward to that Independence Day when you move out, but you have to understand, as an adult, when you move out, there's the laws of the landlord, the laws of the gas company, the laws of the grocery store.
Yeah, they have it easy. That's what these kids don't realize, is they have it easy living at home under their parents' roof. I'm most concerned about Shane, Catrice.
Shane and Catrice, well, they're breaking not just their parents' rules, they're violating the laws. They're harming individuals, they're stealing cars and money. The best thing that their parents could do for them is allow them to face the natural consequences of their behavior before it gets worse.
And what can Kim do? Because it seems like she does obviously love her sister and she wants the best for her, but she's, you know, Catrice is not listening to Kim.
Well, I mean,
nor is she listening to me.
Again, as you know, Catrice has to face those consequences because they've tried to cover up, they've allowed her to stay in the home. They need to decide what they will and will not tolerate. If you're not going to tolerate somebody coming out to all hours of the night, be prepared not to let them back in when they come home.
Right.
And let them find their own place to live. I think it's, Ricky, I think it's also important to sit down with your family members and decide and negotiate. What are you willing to tolerate? What would you give in to, and try and compromise, because that's the best way for them to get along. They're all fighting amongst one another and then getting nothing accomplished.
Are some of these mothers, I mean, is Gloria overreacting a little bit?
Gloria's trying to do her job as a parent, which is protect and love her child. And if Shawnee at 19 feels that she doesn't want to live by those rules, you know what? She doesn't have to. She can move out. But if she's going to live in her mother's home, she's got to go by those rules. It's a contract.
Well, I'm very happy to welcome our next guest. This is Dr. Jennifer Duffy, a clinical psychologist who works with adolescents. And we have so many questions. You know, everyone's torn between, do you just let them do what they're going to do? I mean, I guess my first question is kicking a 13-year-old out of the house the answer? Because that's what's about to happen here. She says this is the last time. The next time, she can't come back home if she runs away.
Well, I mean, certainly in a very serious situation like this, the consequences have to be very serious. And the best thing you can do sometimes for your child is allow them to make their own mistakes and face the consequences, not solve the problem for them.
Where does a 13-year-old go? If she gets kicked out of the house, where does she go?
She might have to put her in a group home, allow the courts to intervene, a military academy.
Is it ever just too late? Is it ever a point where you just say, I've done everything I can, I can't control my child? I mean, do people...
Sometimes that's what tough love is about, saying, I can't deal with you any longer, you're too unreasonable, and you're going to have to face these consequences on your own. If you can't live by my rules and go by what I say, you're going to have to face the consequences on your own.
These girls are 13, 14, 15. They use a condom once in a while, and I say, you know, you can die, and they say, I don't care. What can we tell them?
Well, certainly, you know, there's an old saying that doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but what if it does kill you? And certainly in situations like this...
Wait, what?
What if it does kill you?
You said, what doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger.
It makes you stronger, but I'm saying, it's an old saying, but what if it does kill you? So that's what these adolescents have to think about. What they're doing could kill them. And you have to ask yourself every day, am I making good choices today? And can I live with those choices 5, 10, 15 years from now?
And the teens, unfortunately, when we were 13 and 14, we weren't thinking about that. You think nothing can happen to you. You think you're invincible. Any last advice for the moms that feel like they have done everything they can?
Well, certainly it's important to just try and provide support, but I think the parents need support also, because they're really struggling and they're going through a lot of pain as well.
Jennifer, they're about to become sisters-in-law, right? And they're going to need each other. How do you rebuild the trust after you find out? Because they're going to go back to Detroit also, Cynthia and Delita and Tamia. How do you rebuild the trust if you decide to be friends again?
Well, I think that's a good point. Certainly what they can do, I think, at this point is make a pact that from now on, if either one of them hears a rumor, to first say to the person spreading the rumor, I'm going to now go back and tell so-and-so, you told me this. the person may say, well, don't do that. But if you tell them that, they probably are going to stop spreading rumors because they don't want the person to know they're communicating this message. Another thing is to also make a pact to, before you make any decisions or judgments, to go back to one another with that information and talk about it and accept what they say is truth, to believe it.
Well, I don't know if there is a solution. Let's find out. Please welcome therapist Jennifer Duffy. Jennifer, you got your hands full. Now, basically, we in the audience have had a disagreement. What's really going on here?
There's a lot of strong feelings here, and certainly I think a lot of that comes from the love that everybody feels for one another. However, it's coming out in different ways. Well, I don't mean between the family members and the boyfriend and girlfriends, but certainly at one point it's important to look at, does parenting end? And
does it? That's what we want to know. Should the mother just stand back and let the kids make their own mistakes?
If society recognizes these people as adults, then at what point do you stop trying to control them? There's nothing wrong with expressing your concerns one time to your child, saying, I don't care for this person, but to continue saying over and over again and getting involved only creates more stress between the parent and child.
Yeah, but now Jennifer, let's take the idea that you have...
And she doesn't think she should have to do anything. Now, you're very concerned about her. It hurts you to see her. Of course, it hurts you to see her in pain. But part of becoming an adult is learning to make your own mistakes. Certainly, parents don't need to know everything, and so she's getting upset because she wants to be treated as an adult, yet she's giving her mother painful information. It's hard for her mother to hear that. So
I'm not going to sit on my hands and watch my life revisited.
Well,
see, this is the thing. She compares our relationship to my father.
Well,
he is nothing like my father.
It's her job to worry about you, to be concerned about you. But sometimes if you recognize that by telling your mother certain things, it's only going to come back and she's going to say things you don't want to hear, maybe you might want to consider what you tell her. That you may not want to give her so much information because it's upsetting you.
I don't want her to...
Dr. Jennifer Duffy. Dr. Duffy says that as kids get older, parents' roles do change, and they have to let their children make their own decisions about a mate, even if they think it's a mistake. Is that right? Time to butt out sometimes.
Yeah, I think at this point, everybody here, all the children are very well aware of their parents' feelings about their boyfriend or their spouse, and to continue repeating their concerns or their dislike about that other person only creates conflict between the parent and child, drives a wedge, and destroys that relationship, which is unfortunate because it could be a very good relationship.
So you think Rachel here should just butt out of this situation?
No. Well, I mean, this is a difficult situation because now, I mean, she is underage. This is now a family issue, and there's three types of people. There's those who watch what happened, those who make things happen, and those who wonder what happened. So it's important now for everybody to come together and figure out how to handle this problem. Everybody's fighting, and nothing's getting resolved. This child's going to come into the world and play a big role in all their lives for the next 20 years. So they better learn how to resolve some conflict now before the child comes along.
Especially when she's carrying a baby. The children pick up the tension all along. What about Chase over here? Poor Chase says he just wants his family to... Can't we get along, he's saying,
In a perfect world, that would be nice. And it's unfortunate because Chase is in the middle. And what needs to happen in this situation is that Chase is happy, and you may not agree with his mate or with his choice of a mate, but by continuing to tell him so, that only hurts him. So to not put him in the middle. Chase, you have a right to have a relationship with your mother. These two have a right not to have a relationship with one another. And if everybody makes those decisions and not make that an issue within each relationship, whether it's the parent-child or within the marriage.
The Doris, Karen, and Sean's situation really frightens me. I mean, and Sean, I'm happy that you're not hitting again, but how many of these stories do I cover or shows that I do where it does happen again unless you've been to counseling? I mean,
yeah, I agree. I had spoken to them in the green room, and they seem to genuinely care for one another. That's not the issue. It's about anger control and conflict resolution. And it's okay to have conflict. How you handle it is what's important. And my only concern is that, in general, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And unless there's some kind of significant intervention, it's possible that sooner or later this may happen again.
Karen, we know you love each other, sweetie. We just don't want anything to happen to you. Let me bring in clinical psychologist Dr. Jennifer Duffy, who's a friend of the Rolanda Show. And she says that blaming somebody else for your problems is the easy way out. I think that Rhonda has learned a little bit today that maybe Mama isn't the only one to blame.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly sounds like they're moving in a direction where they're trying to take responsibility for what they've each contributed. They both have valid points. Certainly, Rhonda may be feeling some grief over the loss of her future, being tied down with 3 children at a very young age. Whereas Deborah may also experience some grief at looking at what Rhonda's going through, as well as having to help with the 3 children at this stage in her life. Now, they both can work together to help one another through this very difficult situation, but blaming one another isn't going to accomplish that. Well, I think it's important to try and put the feelings aside and stop blaming one another. But how do you stop doing it? How do you get to that point? Well, I think you have to make a decision, a conscious decision, that you're going to stop dwelling on what the other person did, because as long as you do that, your emotions are going to be very high and you're not going to be able to come to any sort of conclusion. Now, the best solution is when everybody wins a little, but you also lose a little. So they both have to compromise. I hope that there will be some kind of, maybe not peace, that might be hoping for too much, but at least some kind of negotiation going on between this former couple here. Right. Now, I'm really glad that you had the show, because this happens so often. When people get a legal divorce, they don't also get an emotional divorce. Right. And certainly you can see that there's so much hurt and anger still there, and one of you may be suffering more than the other one. However, in order to have a successful divorce, you have to work through the emotional issues. As we were talking over here with Kathleen and Gasper, trying to resolve those unresolved feelings, there probably a lot of this pain is built on. Yeah, I think, you know, they might need some post-marital counseling, probably on an individual basis, to work through some of the anger and the grief over the loss of the relationship, especially because there are 4 children involved. And really what's going on here is what we would refer to in the field as the McCoy-Hatfield syndrome, which was a feud between 2 families that went on for generations, to the point where nobody even knew what they were fighting about anymore. Right. And my prediction is that unless things are changed, 25 years from now we'll have a follow-up on the Rolanda Show, and we're going to hear the same story.
Well, you know what, now, I'm going to tell you something. For the 2 of you, now, one of the things about this is, and this is about television. For you out there, you're watching the show, I expect and hope that if you want to do something, you want to come on the Montel Williams Show, you come on the Montel Williams Show and you tell us what it is you want to talk about. But you have to tell us the truth. You can't tell me right now that you were in town, we brought him, and I'm going to tell everybody looking at this, I'm going to tell you, she did not ever mention this before. We thought this was going to be about the fact that this man was telling you what to do, how to dress, where to go, who to talk to, not that it was physical abuse. And I know that question was asked. I'd like to see if I can get Dr. Duffy very quickly. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to take a little pause for the cause. Because I think the 2 of you and Lamar need to take a little trip backstage. Please, let me get Dr. Duffy out while we're doing this. And you're going to take a little trip backstage with Lamar. And the 3 of you are going to sit backstage and talk about this. Please welcome Dr. Jennifer Duffy to the show. Dr. Duffy, come on up. Please welcome her. Yes, Dr. Duffy has been here. She was here before. We never had a chance to get you in there. You know, we were talking backstage. I know you're not all ready. Don't worry about it. I'll hold this. Okay. Because the truth of the matter is, you and I just had a long conversation about this. We have several other couples that are coming out today that none of them, we've asked the question, is this abuse, or are you just talking about trying to get your man to understand your needs a little bit more? Well, at the top of the show, you got a chance to meet Nancy and her daughter, Tamika, and we all got the bomb at the exact same time. Dr. Jennifer Duffy is back here. She's been backstage. She is a psychologist. Please welcome her to the show again. I want to bring Nancy and Tamika out, but before I do, you want to just pass a few words on to them real quick?
Okay, first of all, in these 2 situations, I think, or these 2 sets of couples, there's one too many people in the relationship. Now, I think it's also important that you guys work on communicating with one another and trusting one another if you want to stay together. And rather than talking about the other person's behavior, talk to each other about how it makes you feel when your mate does something, that it makes you feel upset or insecure, that you're going to lose them. Talk about that and learn to respect one another rather than accusing somebody of doing something, because then that just puts them into the position to defend themselves.
Period. Now, the two of you, we're going to talk about you in a little bit later on in the show. Okay, I got a lot to say about the two of you. One other point with that is that this is not just with couples where there is another person on the outside, but when a man is that possessive and he's trying to do it, part of it really deals with insecurity.
Insecurity and trying to just reduce your own anxiety, but that never works, because if you really feel insecure, just keeping tabs on her isn't going to solve the problem, which is that deep down you feel insecure and you don't believe that that person is really with you because they care about you. And certainly, as we saw at the beginning of the show, that can escalate into something much more serious.
And that's why we just changed the tables here. I'm putting all of you in the very front row so you can see what's getting ready to happen, because you keep this up, yelling at each other, accusing each other. Yeah, it starts with, don't talk to this person on the phone, don't do that, don't wear your hair this way, don't wear your dress this way, your top that way. Then the next time it's, I told you not to go out that way. Then the next time is, I told you, and you go no. Then the next time is, I told you, you go no, and it's this. Okay? You got to stop now. Please, I'm telling you. Please welcome back to the show, Tamika and her mom, Nancy. Welcome them back. Dr. Duffy, you've been backstage. Why don't you share with us what you've found out so far?
Okay, I had spoken with Tamika and Nancy, and as they had said that this has happened before, this has been an ongoing problem. And certainly in an abusive situation, there is a lot of shame. And I think Tamika was frightened, and she used this arena to bring it up, to try and get some sense into him. Now, she also said that she has, it does take two, and that she has reciprocated and also been abusive.
She's reciprocated with the violence.
Right, towards Lamar. And she had said that Lamar did have some counseling, and he did get better, but the conflicts continued, and sooner or later it did erupt into violence again.
So Tamika, and Nancy, hold for just a second, but Tamika, what do you want to accomplish today? Do you want Lamar to get help, to say that he's willing to go get help with you?
He said he's willing to go get help with me, but every time, it progresses to go get help, he always makes those excuses, well, I got this to do, I got that to do, I don't feel like getting up today, I don't have no money for this. We have free counseling from where we live at. He doesn't want to go anywhere. He doesn't want to be seen with me. He doesn't, anything that I do, I can go down steps. Where are you going? I'm going to the kitchen. Why? Why do you need to go to the kitchen?
But as I had said to Tamika backstage, it might be helpful for her to go to counseling to understand why it is she would stay in a relationship that is abusive and potentially harmful.
Ladies, doctors, can you just share a little bit more about what you really know, what's going on here? Because everybody has their own concerns. Like I said, you only heard one side of the story to begin with, but there's other sides of the story. Go ahead.
Well, certainly Tamika did admit that there has been ongoing violence, that Lamar has tried to get help, but when conflict has come up again, they get into a fight. And she did admit that she's pushed him back. She did not say she instigated it, but really, it does take two. And again, provocation never equals justification, but they both need to take responsibility for their own behavior, for whether they're hitting one another or provoking one another. They both need to take responsibility for what they're individually doing.
I also think there's a temptation to see the man as the stronger one, and therefore he's got to automatically be the most responsible one and the bad guy. In this particular case, we didn't get a chance to hear as much of Lamar's story as of Tamika's, so you might have heard him say that he feels mostly that he gets attacked and tries to restrain her. And a lot of men have that story to tell us. I think we have to be very careful about condemning men right away, even though it's tempting to see them as the stronger one.
And you find out what's bugging her. And you find out what's bugging her. And I'm going to tell you what's bugging me. We'll be back right after this. I want to thank everybody for being with me. Thank you, Dr. Duffy and Dr. Derby, for being here. Sharice and Chris, I know you're sitting there looking at me like, what is this man going to say? I'm not. They are. Go ahead.
Well, certainly with a child involved, it's very important that the two of you are very clear on how you're going to raise the child and what's going to happen.
And it's important enough, maybe, to see someone professionally who can help you clarify your goals for the rest of your life and for the rest of your child's life.
You need to talk to somebody. You need to talk to somebody and sit down in a room and find out if that's what his priority is. It may not be. With that in mind, if you're in this kind of relationship, please go and talk to somebody. It's important. Join us on the next month.
all the adventure of Hercules, all the thrills of the Black Cauldron. Get these timeless classic Disney videos before time runs out.
Tomorrow at 6 on Good Day, meet Allie's Bad News boss, Greg German. Plus, What's Hot? We're tapped into the trendsetters. Good Day, New York. Tomorrow, starting at 6 on Fox 5.
Television has given us lots of lovable kids.
Stewie, I said no toys at the table.
Oh, you contemptible harpy. You've impeded my work since the day I escaped from your wretched womb.
Stewie isn't one of them.
Blast you and your estrogenical treachery!
Family Guy, sneak preview after the Super Bowl on Fox.
Next week on 90210.
Please don't hurt us. Where's Marchette?
Off the bike, hands on your head.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Dylan. You're looking at some serious time.
No way, I'm not gonna spend another night in here. Gina, I need something from you.
Dylan, I already told you the answers now.
Then you better get ready to come to my funeral then, because I'm not gonna make it.
How do you stay with someone
Pack your stuff now!
once the abuse begins? A powerful new Party of 5, next on Fox. Previously on Party of 5.
You should stay here. We're gonna be back in the morning.
But I want to come with you.
You can stay here. It's okay.
I want to stay with Bailey.
My poli-sci paper was due like yesterday, and
I'm gonna blow off dinner at home, and I'm gonna spend the night with you here, and I'm gonna work on your paper.
What?
You didn't want to finish, did you? What is the matter with you, Ned? Did you think you were being romantic or something?
You're Daphne's mom.
I just had to get over here and meet my little grandchild. I'm having a hard time here, Mom, because living here like this, it's really hard. I want to know if it was as easy for you to leave as it is for me.
Party of 5 is brought to you by Hyundai and their full line of exciting new cars. Hyundai, where driving is believing.
If it looks different, it's because it is different. Unlike Camry and Accord, front and side airbags are standard equipment. It's protected by a steel safety cage. And its warranty is not only different, it's America's best. The all-new Hyundai Sonata. It's not different for the sake of being different, but different for the sake of being better. In the last 200 years, there have only been 20 cases of restored sight. Virgil Adamson is about to become one of them.
Hello?
This is the true story
It's a shadow. You can walk right through it, see?
of one extraordinary man.
That has to be hard. Look at that.
Who's looking at the world for the very first time.
People eat this?
Val Kilmer, Mira Sorvino. At First Sight, rated PG-13. Starts Friday at theaters everywhere.
If you used to think it wasn't for you, now Pantene has a whole new shampoo. Introducing Pantene Shampoo Only. It joins Pro V 2-in-1s and conditioners. New Pantene Shampoo Only. This is the Pantene for you.
The competition can't hold up to this. Pantene Pro V hairspray with the last test. Other sprays are no match for Pro V, the only one with the last test.
It's the best hold, the best feel, the best of both worlds. No competition.
I am a one-woman army. I feed my dream with Twin Lab Diet Fuel. It's the most important weapon in my arsenal.
Twin Lab Diet Fuel at GNC and other health food stores.
I think of myself as a supportive mom.
Win one for Mom, Joe!
I can't let a sore throat stop me. So I count on Chloraseptic. 5 sprays gives me fast, long-lasting relief, so I don't have to miss a second of the game.
Joey!
Chloraseptic. 5 sprays for instant relief that stays.
There's a toothpaste so advanced, it keeps working even after you stop brushing. That's Colgate Total. It works all day, wherever you go, fighting cavities and tartar while you're gearing up. It fights bad breath while you're going strong. It even fights plaque and gingivitis while you're dreaming. Long-lasting protection. Colgate Total. The brushing's so advanced, it works between brushings.
Keep your money. I made my own lunch. Yours too.
Where is Daphne?
I don't know, Charlie.
In 2 minutes, I have to be in the truck to pick up Owen. She's supposed to be here to take Diana.
Well, I could watch Diana.
You are not going to miss your first day back at Grant to babysit. She's got to be here. I cannot be late for work again.
You could call Kirsten.
No, I can't. All right, listen. Stuff some extra diapers into my bag. I'm just going to take her to work with me.
Maybe we'll see Daphne on the way out.
Let's not bet on it. Okay. Something to eat for you, lunch.
Hey, handsomest Salinger on record.
Hey, watch it.
The handsomest is you.
Okay. We had a good time, huh? What was the most fun, you think? The Waterworks Mountain or the Exploratorium?
I don't know. Both.
Well, you're gonna have fun with Charlie, too. I talked to him last night. He couldn't wait to get you back.
Really?
Yes, really. Charlie loves you, oh. He's your big brother, and he cares about you a lot.
So do you.
Yeah, you bet I do, but so does Charlie. And no baby is ever gonna change that. Right? Hello? Faye? It's Charlie. Hey, we were just talking about you. Look, I know I should be on my way over, but something's come up. Something like what? What's come up, Charlie? Well, Daphne's supposed to be back here by now to take Diana and watch Owen, but she's out somewhere. Okay, look, where are you going with this? Because I've got Owen standing right here waiting for you. Yeah, well, I need you to keep him. Charlie, did you hear me just say that he's standing right here dressed and ready to go? Look, I wouldn't ask it if I didn't need it, Bae. All right? But I'm jammed up here, and if I miss another day of work... Look, I need you to help me, man, all right? So I can keep this job and keep this end of the family together, all right? And I tell Owen, Bailey... All right. All right.
You know, what? We don't do chopsticks that way. The top stick moves and the bottom one stays still.
I'm like Edward Scissorhands here. Everything always falls in my lap. Paper rolls. Delicious. Thanks. Henry's taking me to a nice sushi place tonight, and I do not want to embarrass myself again.
Henry?
Henry Yuramoto. He's an engineering student. He likes to study stress, like what happens to walls when they collapse in earthquakes.
Wow. So, you're like going out on dates? Maggie, that's great. I mean, I had no idea.
Well, it was one of those steal my boyfriend once, shame on you, steal my boyfriend twice, shame on me kind of things.
Okay, I get that. But don't you think that, maybe if things work out with Henry and you're happy, that you might forgive me a little? That we might get past this and try being friends?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Just don't tell Ned.
Are you kidding? Ned's gonna be so happy for you.
Mm-mm.
Oh, Maggie, come on.
I'm telling you. Leave him out of it.
These kids, they don't get many breaks, Kirsten, so you could help out in a big way. Would you consider it?
Consider what, exactly?
This. Consider this.
Go slow, sweetheart. Paul, wait, no, don't do this.
What? Don't do what? I think this makes sense. I think you're working here with kids.
Don't go worrying about filling my life with jobs with kids. I can worry about myself.
Okay, but at least have a look. Please, please. All right, just see what you think. Morning.
Oh, good morning, Doctor. Oh, great. Is this one of our new volunteers?
Well, actually, Mrs. Wilford, we were just...
Having a look and thinking.
Well, darling, while you're thinking, why don't you take this ribbon and a couple of these feathers here and give them to Michael.
Don't touch my face.
He's sitting over there. King of mischief.
Bring me the next human sacrifice.
Be careful, he bites.
Don't worry, I'll just bite back.
I'm ruler of this table.
Bailey, I know you want to show Owen a good time, but why can't you guys just go and do something that you know something about?
Yeah, sure. Hey, oh, you want to go to a restaurant management seminar?
I want to go camping. I want to see a bear. I want to go fishing.
He wants to go camping, even though it's winter and it's cold, like it's going to be wherever we go camping. And I know for a fact that the bears are going to be hibernating and the fish are going to be frozen into fish sticks and freezers where they belong.
Just because Charlie promised Owen that he would take him camping sometime during the winter doesn't mean that it has to be this weekend, right?
No. If Charlie Salinger can go camping this time of year, then Bailey Salinger can. Only we're roughing it, like real men. None of this sissy camping crapola. We're just taking knees, sleeping bags.
What's your summer weight?
Okay. And some blankets. And some raw meat. And matches. And maybe a steak knife for cutting stuff up.
And a tent, maybe.
Okay, Mr. Softy, a tent for you. But that's it. The Salinger brothers are going camping.
Yes.
A little girl, is it? Was she baptized here in St. Daniel's?
Baptized, no. Father, the thing is, well, I haven't been in church in 15 years. And I came here because I have a problem.
You haven't been to Mass for 15 years? You want to talk about a problem? That is a problem.
But that's not what I came here to... I was hoping that you could help me.
Well, what about your husband? Does he come here to Mass?
No, I'm not married, Father.
Okay.
But I live with the Father.
Oh.
He's not really religious either.
Well, that tells me you have a good deal to talk about. Now, I want you to bring him around.
No, this isn't, it's not about him. It's me. I need help. I almost left my baby in the park in a stroller. And I didn't even know I was doing it or why.
I don't understand.
Father, I don't even know if I love her.
Oh, now. I cannot believe you don't love your own child.
Well, then what's happening then? What could make me want to turn my back on my baby and walk away and keep on walking? I mean, could someone just please say something that could shed a little light on that? Please? Because I'm scared. Look, Father, I didn't even want to come here today because it's been so long, but I just thought that...
I am glad you came to me. First thing I want to do is get both you and the child's father back in the church. I'll be right with you. Hello, Father Carroll. No, no, not orchids. It's a wedding, not a funeral. Yeah, I understand, but listen, I can't really talk right now. I'm rather tied up. Look, I promise to get right back to you. Please, just hang on for a second. Now, miss, when...
No. I am not writing a paper that says if Jane Austen were alive today, she'd be writing for Ally McBeal.
Why not? It's a very defensible theory.
Wait, don't go in there.
Why not?
Because, there's a monkey on the door.
Yeah?
And it's a sign. It means stay out. Maggie's in there with her boyfriend.
Her boyfriend? Her boyfriend? What, when did she get a boyfriend? You never told me.
They can hear you. It just happened, and I said I wouldn't interrupt. Let's go park it in the common area.
Boyfriend? I see.
Well, wait. Wait a second. You're not suddenly acting weird because of this Maggie thing, are you?
No.
Huh. Maggie said you'd be worried about this.
Maggie said that?
You are upset.
I'm not upset. I'm not upset. I just told you I'm not upset. What part of that don't you understand?
Nothing.
Repeat after me. Ned is not upset.
Ned is not upset.
Okay, then.
Are you crazy? No, Johnny, don't!
I gotta save you!
No, Johnny! Johnny, I'm telling your mother! This isn't funny! Hey, sweetie, is that you? Johnny! Johnny!
I got him.
Oh, thank goodness! Johnny? Could I have yours?
Those fingers in your hair, that look that lures them there, it's witchcraft.
It's Finesse Touchables Hairspray with a hydrating silk protein formula that conditions as it holds for a hold you love to touch.
Those gorgeous flowing strands of it, I've got to get my hands on it. It's
Finesse Hairspray. Get the hold that gets the touch.
I'll pick the girl, and you got 6 weeks to turn her into the prom queen. Gentlemen, we have a winner.
When Zach took a bet,
Was this some kind of new dork outreach program?
he never guessed that he might win the wager.
Go get dressed.
Oh, God.
But lose his heart.
Did it ever occur to you that maybe Zach really likes you?
Why'd you really come here, Zach?
I forget.
She's All That. Rated PG-13. Opens Friday, January 29th. Everywhere.
Which costs more to keep running, Sam Foster or his Saturn?
In 1 year, I bought 3 pairs of running shoes. I bought 514 gallons of gas. Went through 6 pairs of socks. I went through 4 oil changes. My shorts, my lease. And found it cost me 34 cents a mile to run and only 33 cents a mile to drive.
Of course, even though Saturns cost so little to own, Sam's not about to stop running and start driving more. But he is learning a lot.
Wheel alignment, $70. Back alignment, $90.
The nation's obsession with Oreo O's cereal has made milk a precious commodity.
It's been tough. Very tough.
What was that?
That would be our dog Spot.
Oreo O's and milk. The crisis continues.
Peekaboo Street for chapstick.
I train a lot. Torture! Especially for my lips.
Chapstick Lip Moisturizer with vitamin E, a formula that protects to help heal chapped lips.
I'm not the lipstick type. I'm the chapstick type.
Lip Moisturizer from Chapstick.
I have an exciting medical announcement. Monistat, the brand we trust, has a 1-dose yeast infection treatment. Monistat 1 is so effective, just 1 treatment cures a yeast infection. Absolutely nothing works faster. Doctors know the 1 dose keeps working for days for an effective cure. And it's the only 1-dose treatment with the name doctors recommend most. Monistat 1. 1 dose from the #1 doctor-recommended brand.
Flex your romantic muscles.
How about tonight?
Tonight?
Let down your hair.
Sex for men. When it's right, it's right. When it's wrong, it's still right.
And put on your dancing shoes. Nominated for 2 TV Guide and 3 Golden Globe Awards, including Best Comedy. Ally McBeal, an all-new episode Fox Monday.
Hi, yeah, I have an old savings bond that I would like to leave to an infant. Well, can I cash it in and leave it in her name? And how long will that take to mature? Great, and she can do that herself? Okay, I'll be there before you close. I'll be there before then. Thank you. Hey, you know what?
You know what? I am upset. I was thinking about it last night, and I am upset. Obviously, this has been going on for a while, because you didn't just say date. You said boyfriend. So I guess, what am I? The only one not to know?
I'm not hiding anything from you. I just found out about it, okay? And Maggie certainly doesn't want to share this kind of thing with either one of us. Anyway, who cares?
Is he in your room all the time?
No.
See, I know she's talking about me, telling him stuff about us.
No one's saying anything.
I just don't like it. I don't like the idea of the three of you in that room all the time. And I'm the only one not there. Stuff gets said.
Ned, if anything, having a boyfriend is making her less angry than she used to be. We might actually become friends.
See, that's even worse. I hate that, because then it's really like the three of you, all pals and everything, and me, I'm off on my own.
Then spend more time in my room. It'll be the four of us.
I don't do that. I don't want to share you with anyone.
Well, I don't know what to say then. Because you're going to have to deal with it. Maggie has a boyfriend, and unless you're jealous...
Come on.
Then deal.
Ouch. It's all yours. There's his shoes and socks.
Don't be expecting a tip from that bath. What's in the bag, Miss Kay?
It's a sock putter on her. I'm going to show you how to put on your own socks.
I've never put on my own socks before, Miss Kay. Usually my mom or a nurse has to do that. I can't reach so good.
You sort of catch it over your toes, and then you pull up.
Let me try this.
Ha! Perfect.
How long does it take to starve?
You're not starving.
Yes, I am. I'm cold.
Do some jumping jacks.
How am I gonna do jumping jacks tonight in my sleeping bag?
Just do them, okay? I gotta get the supper cooked before it gets dark out here. Owen?
Oh.
What you did? You're not helping here.
You don't know what you're doing.
Okay, look, don't panic. Come here. Just blow the dirt off of that. Let me get this fire started.
Excuse me.
Oh. Hi.
Hi. We made too much food over here, and we were hoping maybe you guys could help us eat it.
What you got?
Owen, that's not polite.
No, it's okay. We're having Salisbury steak, potatoes au gratin, green beans, and chocolate cake for dessert.
You said that you would be here and Claudia, so that if I lost track of time...
Losing track of time for what? Again, I wake up this morning and you've already left the house. Listen, I'm fine with any time you need to run errands, but if it's gonna make me late, or if I have to take the baby to school with me...
You said that the school was okay with that. You said that you were okay with that.
You just gotta let me know, Daphne, okay? When you're gonna go to the bank or whatever the hell it is you go.
The bank?
Yeah. They called. They needed your Social Security number on some savings bond paperwork.
I can explain that.
Well, you left it blank, and they said they needed anyone's number who's buying the bond, so I gave them mine.
That's good, Charlie. Thanks.
You know, if it's supposed to be a gift, you're a gift. It might be nice if Diana knows that her first investment was made by her mom, you know?
Well, my name's on there somewhere, I'm sure. And that's 20 years from now, Charlie.
You're at the bank planning 20 years from now, and you can't think to give me a day's notice about taking care of Diana.
I am thinking. Please believe me when I say that I'm thinking. And it's Diana's happiness that I'm thinking about.
Maybe our tent won't fit two sleeping bags, Susie.
No, they'll fit, even if I have to force them.
You know, those people really had a nice tent. Maybe we should wait and go camping when we have a tent as nice as theirs.
What are you talking about? We can't wait and go camping. We are camping. And this is what you wanted to do, Owen.
But there's nothing to do here. We can't fish. We forgot our hiking boots.
Okay, look. You got me out here, and we're gonna be out here like you wanted us to be, okay? I'm not getting in the car and driving us home tonight, so just get used to it. And camping is what you wanted to do, Owen, so...
I thought when we said camping...
Well, no, this is camping. This is camping. Now, climb into your sleeping bag and go to sleep.
You're mean, David.
What are we doing here?
I know it's not perfect yet. It's kind of in its pre-Love Shack state, but I've got an old Oriental rug in storage and a line on a double bed.
Wait, is this for you? You moving out of your dorm or something?
It's for you. For us.
But I don't need a new room.
Yes, you do. We need you to have your own room. One with some privacy.
Wait a second, you can't be... Are you still stuck on this whole Maggie's boyfriend thing?
No.
Yes, you are. You're obsessed with keeping me away from them. You know what? Ned, this is getting a little weird.
Why? No, it's not. And that is not a very nice thing to say.
Ned.
You cannot tell me you prefer to share your room with another couple. You'd rather worry about monkeys on doorknobs and who gets dibs on Saturday night than have a place where we can be alone whenever we want. Am I wrong here? Am I crazy?
Okay, so why don't you get a single?
Because I can't. The waiting list for a guy to get a single is like way into the next millennium. I mean, even getting this place was no piece of cake.
But I like my room. And I like my roommate.
Yeah, so?
I just think that maybe we should have discussed this first.
Since when do you discuss a gift with someone?
Okay, I'll think about it.
Fine. Think. As long as you call the building manager or I lose my deposit, okay? Tell me you'll call him, please.
Okay.
Quit hogging the cashews.
I'm not.
R2.
I'm not.
R2.
I'm not.
Animal. It's a cat. It's a beaver. It's a brown cat.
It's a beaver.
I think it's a marmot.
That was a beaver.
Are beavers nice?
Yes.
Look at him. There he is. Oh, yeah. He looked at me. I'm gonna give him a nut.
He's cute, isn't he? No. Beavers don't like nuts. I've never seen a beaver eat a nut.
I've never seen a beaver.
Everyone loves Planters nuts. Fresh roasted taste, and they're cholesterol-free.
Oh, he's good.
He's very good.
Planters, relax, go nuts.
Think that'll fit in the van?
Patch Adams, nominated for 2 Golden Globe Awards, Best Picture and Best Actor.
We'll use humor to heal pain and suffering.
Experience for yourself the movie that has audiences cheering. Patch Adams, rated PG-13, now playing.
This is my best friend, Ginny, since 3rd grade. She told me about Clean and Clear Daily Pore Cleanser. It gently scrubs your pores clean with these smooth, round micro scrubbers. We both use it, like, every day.
Clean and clear and under control.
Party of 5 will return in a moment on Fox. Every second counts.
Are you thinking that I'm poisoned?
Could have been the slightest touch or a handshake.
When you have 24 hours to live.
What the hell did they put in, Skinner?
If I die now, I die in vain.
I will stop this. It's too late, Fox.
The X-Files, in all new episodes, Sunday at 9, 8 Central on Fox.
Mark's a safety inspector who has a keen eye for workmanship.
These modifications look great.
It's no wonder he drives a Ford Taurus. With over 40 standard safety and security features, it's the only car in its class to earn a 5-star government front crash test rating. Plus, it's priced $1,000 less than last year. And with 1.9 financing or a $259 lease, Taurus is a great value.
This is where safety really comes home.
Ford Taurus, built to last. Built for the way you live.
Father, daughter, conservative, liberal, Rachmaninoff, rock and roll, practical, not. What brings them to the table? Introducing Honey Nut Checks, a delicious new taste, an amazing new crunch. If they can share this family value, what next? Maybe conversation? Maybe next time. New Honey Nut Checks. Welcome to Generation Checks.
Revlon! The Revlon color to wear now. New hot cocoa. Rich. Warm.
Color to cuddle up to.
New in the Revlon report. Lips, nails in new hot cocoa.
Revlon!
Goya beans bring the right taste together that bring your family together for more goodness in every meal.
For the latest morning weather, watch Good Day New York weekdays from 6 to 9 on Fox 5.
Sunday, the children of Springfield are put under martial law.
Kids, the carnival's in town, and there's no lines because all the kids have curfew.
And all new Simpsons. Then, don't miss the show nominated for favorite new series.
Oh, that hasn't been touched in years.
That 70s Show. It's a night of all new episodes, Sunday at 8, 7 Central.
Here we go. Getting this off. All right. Clyde, can you grab me some more diapers? There's extras in the bottom drawer in the bathroom.
Okay. Or Daphne put these the other day, along with the other 50 million.
50 million what?
Well, look.
Why would she be buying all this stuff and just... What is she doing?
Hey, guys.
Morning.
Hey, you want to come over
That light rain you predicted last night half flew down the tent. Barely got it back up before the monsoon struck.
Well, we didn't sleep so great either.
What, the central heat in your tent go out?
Oh, that's funny. Actually, Karen was pretty much awake all night. She gets nightmares. Does Owen get nightmares?
He doesn't need them. Camping with me's been enough of a nightmare.
You know, I see you trying real hard. I mean, I know it's not easy. Kids are a lot to deal with because they've got a lot to deal with.
Owen sure has a lot to deal with. He's got a situation back home where he lives with our brother. Let's just say, yeah, he has a lot to deal with. Karen, too? Because she doesn't seem like...
Yeah. She gets nightmares. I was afraid you heard them.
No. I was afraid you were going to hear us. You know, and sloshing around, fighting with each other. He hates me right now. Nothing I do is right.
Been there. Am there.
He's cold and bored and miserable, and he's really working me over about the 5 sticks of gum we had for breakfast.
Look, why don't Karen and I make room in our tent for you guys? Seriously, it'll be cozy, but at least it'll be warm and dry. Come on, we'll make hot dogs. Go look at stars later.
You mean tonight?
Tonight.
No.
Oh, come on.
No. I gotta get him home. Get him dried out. Hope that sneeze he has doesn't turn into full-blown pneumonia.
You know, you could pack up and go home, but you know what? I don't think he wants you to give up like that, even if he's asking you to. I think he wants you to make it great.
I thought we were working stuff out.
We were. We are. I just thought with you and Henry and me and Ned, a little privacy might be a good thing.
Did Ned ask you to do this?
No. No, we both decided to be less awkward this way.
I guess. It just seems weird. I mean, your new place is kind of far away, and you have all these friends here, and I don't know. I mean, half of our life is in this storm.
You know, so I'm giving some stuff up. I realize that.
No kidding. Plus, I was kind of looking forward to us getting back to being friends.
We will be friends. Come on.
I know this isn't none of my business kind of thing, but moving into a single with your boyfriend? What happened to college? That sounds like being married, and I did that last year.
You've been an angel with Mike. I could sleep better knowing somebody like you was here.
Oh, he's a wonderful boy.
Let's go home. Where's my woman now? There you are.
Hey, kiddo. Are you gonna behave? Do your exercises and
Dr. Teddian, extension 4720. Dr. Teddian, 4720.
See you later, chump.
Goes with the job, I guess.
I must be looking at a plane or something, because there's way too much color going on for that to be a planet.
You see it? That's Saturn, dummy. Teresa's got it all set up so you can see the rings.
Wow. This is cool.
Did you even know stuff like that was up there? I knew.
I'm sorry. I thought you guys were asleep.
Nope.
Not yet.
Sorry. Keep it down over here.
Bailey, do you think there's more cool stuff like Saturn that we could see?
Well, yeah, there's all the other planets. There's Mars and Pluto and Goofy.
Goofy's not a planet. Goofy's a dog.
Daisy.
I know. Bailey, when you find out about cool stuff, will you let me know so we can see it together? It doesn't have to be just planets.
I'm making a list already.
Whoa. And someday you'll go to New York and Paris. Not that I've ever been to either, but you will. And there'll be all these French guys. But you'll know how to take care of yourself. I'm not worried about you, doll. And then college is a big thing. And you're gonna be college material, definitely. And you'll wear one of those business suits. And you'll carry one of those, like, pocketbook briefcase things that cost like $1,000. But hey, you'll be like a lawyer or something. And Charlie will be so proud. Poor Charlie.
Hey.
Oh, hey.
Poor Charlie.
I was just talking to her.
Well, why don't you put her down and let her get some sleep? Get some sleep for yourself.
It's okay. I'm not finished telling her about boys in the backseat of cars and to stay away from people who stare. And I like watching her.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
She was saying goodbye.
To Diana?
Yeah. And me. She's leaving us.
Are you sure? How can you?
I'm sure, okay? I've been replaying everything. I mean, the savings bond, the way she bought all that stuff like she was stockpiling for forever.
Did you say anything?
Like what? Like, I know what you're doing, Daphne?
And I want you to stay, yeah, like that.
I didn't. I couldn't. I'm not sure that that's what I want. I mean, if staying were what she wanted, but it's not. It isn't. I can see it. And I'm tired, Kirsten. I'm trying to make her act like a mother for Diana when she doesn't feel it. Of being after her to want something that she doesn't want. I'm just tired.
You gonna let her go?
I don't know.
Where are all the boxes and everything? I thought you would have been done by now.
That's what I want to talk to you about.
Well, we can talk and pack at the same time. Come on, help me out.
Ned, listen, Maggie and I had a really good talk, and I've decided I don't want to move. We're gonna figure out how to deal with two boyfriends in one room, and I'm making friends here. And moving is such a nightmare.
You know, we've already decided this, Julia. I put a deposit down. Non-refundable at this point. I mean, now we'll be able to be together, alone. You and me. So, grab a box and do your desk.
You're not listening. Would you stop bullying and listen to me? Now, I know you're worried about, I don't know, being the odd man out or whatever, but Maggie is being really good about this, and I don't think she's
I think I know Maggie a little better than you. Now, we're under a deadline here, so if you don't mind, how about pitching in and helping out?
No. Ned, no, I do mind. This is my room, and it's still my life, and I'm not having anyone tell me what I have to do.
No, this was your room, and it's our lives, and I'm saying pack your stuff now.
No.
Hey, would you just cut it out?
You know what?
Just give me that.
Ned, would you please?
Julia!
As pretty as Darcy. Does he want to be with her? Has he been with her? How can people eat this? This shirt make me look flat. What's more important to him, me or football? Do I have a clue what love feels like? Should I supersize that?
Will I ever get out of this town?
Varsity Blues, rated R. Starts Friday in theaters everywhere.
Eat the Whopper. That's 40 grams of fat.
Whopper down the hatch! Incoming!
Don't listen to him. He does not care about you.
Listen to your smarter half. Go to Subway, where you can get one of 7 subs with 6 grams of fat or less. Subway, the way a sandwich should be.
It's a fever, an earache. Every minute she feels bad is a minute too long. Use Children's Advil. So fast on fever, it controls it faster than Children's Tylenol. Lasts up to 8 hours. Children's Advil. It's time our kids feel better, faster.
Tonight at 10, snowy weather on the way. Will it affect your morning commute? Nick has the latest. Then a male teacher kisses a boy student.
He said when I got in the teacher face, he leaned over and kissed me like this.
Hear why the teacher says he had to lock lips on the Fox 5 10 o'clock news tonight.
the BMW 3 Series sedan from $26,970.
The best lingerie brand in the world is having its biggest sale ever. The Victoria's Secret semi-annual sale. Right now, beautiful bras start at just $9.99. Panties start at just $3.99. You'll find great savings in every area, including sleepwear, hosiery, even fragrance. Hurry to Victoria's Secret semi-annual sale. Because when the best lingerie brand in the world outdoes itself, you've just got to be there.
In the city of Los Angeles.
Wow, that's some dog.
Barley, get down, sweetie.
Suddenly I'm feeling a little inadequate.
Where connecting is never easy.
I don't date.
Gee, I don't have a witty comeback for that one.
These three couples are about to come together in an unexpected way.
And you really didn't sleep with her?
No.
And you didn't want to sleep with her?
Oh, good God, yes, I did. Playing by heart.
You couldn't have died without telling me that?
Rated R. Everywhere, Friday, January 22nd.
Is the girl next door a hooker? Find out if the best brothel in town is on the street where you live. Fox Files, all new at 9, 8 Central, Fox Thursday.
Frank Black has faced many forms of evil. She drowned.
On dry land without any water nearby.
Now, the terror. Why are you stalking my daughter? Has hit too close to home.
She's solid water. Get me a chest tube now.
All new Millennium. I'm begging you, don't take her away from me. After Brimstone, Fox, Fearsome Friday.
So after my girlfriend set me up with this guy, she told me what he loved so much about his old girlfriend were her ankles. And I was like, my ankles are my mother's ankles, not something you put little chains of hearts around, you know what I'm saying?
Can I borrow a little powder?
Sure. But I was thinking, there was this guy one time, and he was like, hey, you could sweep the floor with those eyelashes. So figure I'm just having to work with what God and Maybelline give me.
Thank you.
Hey, you keep it. You look like you could use it. I mean, it's not Chanel or anything. Well, here we go. Wish me luck.
Now listen, when Charlie asks you where you got that cold.
I tell him it's because the first night we slept in the rain.
Right. And maybe we don't even tell him about the second night.
Oh, you mean not say that we had to sleep with those women?
We didn't sleep with those women. Not in the sleeping with way.
I was sleeping. You were snoring.
Okay. What I mean is,